Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Miami Hurricanes Talk with Danny on Spotify, and you're watching this on YouTube Live. My guest this week is Josh Kassinger, right, and Dan Smith. They're
Yep.
from the Bunch of Nut podcast from Ohio State. Cotton Bowls Wednesday night, 7:30 in Arlington on ESPN. It's going to be a multicast on that. Get a chance to watch that. And they're here to join me tonight. Like I said, I'm playing hurt, but I'm going on. So, gentlemen, good evening. Right away, you saw what were your takes on the press conferences today? From your
Just
side.
I didn't. As for Ryan Day, it just you know, it means business. It's a business. They're wanting to prove something that, to excuse my language, they're pissed off.
Yeah, after
They
the Indiana game.
Yeah, they didn't like the outcome of the way they performed against Indiana, especially in a goal line situation. But the vibe has been, they're pissed off. They're ready to go, and ready for the Hurricanes to come in, who just were in a dogfight with Texas A&M. So I think that's the vibe we got out there, and it sounds Jeremiah Smith is so excited to play his hometown team.
Yeah, we
It's
saw that. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say Arvell Reese looked like he was just like pissed off to be in Dallas. He said he just doesn't want to be in Dallas. He wants to get in, get out. Matt Patricia, he looked fired up for this. He said he has a lot of schemes and stuff going on for this. So I expect to see some different packages. I think we might get a CJ Hicks package. Because the one thing about the Hurricanes is they're very good at defending the bull rush. I've read and stuff.
Yeah, we've done very well with that.
DJ Hicks is kind of redshirted a little bit this year, and now that's postseason, he's going to be able to play a little bit. And CJ is kind of more of the finesse rusher on this team. So I bet you we're going to see some CJ Hicks based on what Matt Patricia has been saying.
Yeah, he doesn't take the matchup I've looked at is him against our offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's going to be Matt Patricia's won 3 Super Bowls in New England, 2 of them at DC under Belichick. He comes from the Belichick tree, which means they like to. If you know the Belichick tree, they like to take away what you do best.
Yep.
Am I right with that?
I agree.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah, and the thing, and Patricia, and what do we, and we like to do, of course, is run the football. That's been Mario Cristobal's bread and butter. Run the football. We have 3 backs. Really, we'll probably see maybe 2 in this game with Mark Fletcher and maybe Gerard Pringle that play this game. But the news today is no Damari Brown on the secondary. Mario, he's out. He's not going to be playing this game. So it's going to be up to O.J. Frederick and Xavier Lucas to deal with Jeremiah Smith. And listen, that wide receiver core starts with Smith, and it also starts with Tate and Ennis. Those are the 3 big ones right there. But to me, the one that I worry about most, guys, is the tight ends. Your thoughts on that?
We worry about the tight ends too after the Indiana game.
Yeah, to me, the Indiana game, I say that's the blueprint to beat Ohio State in my book.
The tight ends are fantastic. Last year, honestly, during the playoff run, they were an integral part of the offense. There was a lot of times where we went to 2 tight ends, and we basically used them as extra offensive tackles to hit Jeremiah deep on a lot of throws. Claire's a stud. I think we got to feed Tate though. I think Tate is the difference maker. I think you guys are going to key in on Jeremiah. Tate has always been. Whenever we need a big play, it's Carnell Tate.
Yeah, that's to me, Dan. I've said, Dan, Crass, go ahead. Then we'll give my.
I think what the problem, Dan and I text each other throughout the games. We don't get a chance to sit there and watch the games a lot, but the biggest thing, and I even said this on our last episode, the biggest thing from we haven't broke down the Indiana game. I don't think. I forget. It's been so long since we did an episode since we're on Christmas break. Christmas break's got everything going on. But the biggest thing that Ohio State with the tight ends is, you got Max Clare, you got Nate Roberts, who's really coming along as a blocker, but then you have Bennett Christian, who's struggled a lot in 14 personnel. I think the one big thing that we went away from in the goal line during, short yardage situations was the bootleg passes to the tight ends that were just gashing Indiana. And then we get in the goal line, we didn't run those. I'm in for a fact that Jeremiah's going to get his numbers, and I think Tate's going to he's going to have a day or two. But watch Brandon Ennis. Brandon Ennis has really started coming along in Ohio State's offense in the last 3 or 4 games. He had a big game. He had a big game against Rutgers where he actually was the number 1 receiver in that game. It may not the stat sheet may not reflect what Brandon Ennis has done for Ohio State's offense because he does all the nitty-gritty work. He blocks downfield. I think adding him and what Max Claret can do in the offense. And I think, let's be honest, I have told Dan this, I've told many Buckeye fans this, we have no more weather problems going into the rest of the way, however far. It's time for Ryan Day just to open up the playbook. And I think now that he's got the full coverage of the playbook, he is going to open it up. Will we see Oregon and Georgia type plays, bowl game plays? That remains to be seen. But I think we're going to see more of the passing game against Miami this week because especially RPO, especially with those 2 defensive linemen. And as a Bengals fan, I am rooting hard for us to get Ruben Bain. So
people don't talk about Akeem Mesidor that much, but I say people are forgetting Mesidor. If you saw the Texas A&M game, you saw what Mesidor did with the bull rush.
Yeah,
those bull rushes. He absolutely victimized Texas A&M's right side of that line.
Yeah, Mesidor's dog. As a Bengals fan, though, I'm rooting for us to get Ruben Bain, but I think he's going to be gone by the time we get a chance.
Yeah,
Mesidor has more sacks too than Bain.
Yes, 8.5. We got Ruben Bain 7.5. The matchups I'm going to watch, guys, are in the trenches. I'm going to look at the trenches in both sides. It's going to be Ohio State's offensive line, which, by the way, it's not going to have the right guard, although they put a new guy in there, if I'm not mistaken, Van Ginkel. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct. It's and I think a lot of Miami fans are getting excited to hear that we might not have the right guard and stuff. But like Tegra, and we love Tegra. He's been a great player. Well, he's been a good player for us. You know, he's done a lot of good things.
I know they've ripped him for some reason. I don't know what the deal with that.
He has not been the strongest link on the offensive
line.
He's
our lowest graded player on the offensive line.
Consistently to like a holding penalty or a false start a game. So this could be more of like a addition by subtraction situation. But the matchup for sure is the right side for you guys. I think if Bain, if you put Bain on the right side or Mesidor, I think if you even get them stunted on the guard, like do some stunts where they go inside, I think they could get a really good matchup going on.
To me, go ahead, Cass. Go ahead.
I think with the frustrations that we have with Tegra is not that he's not a good player or a great player. It's the fact that whenever there's a mistake, and as an offensive line coach, and I know it's junior high level, it's totally different from the collegiate level, but as an offensive line coach, and I see it because that's what the positions I watch. Whenever the flag comes out, it's like, most likely 90% of the time it's coming from number 77. And I think a lot of the frustration is if you look at his body type compared to everybody else on the offensive line, he should be that first round draft pick offensive lineman, and he just has not developed into that player.
When it comes to raw talent, I don't think there's anyone more talented than Tegra on the team. I completely agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so too. When I look at the trend, so we continue with the trenches. What concerns me as a Miami guy is the interior offensive linemen, and we have three very good ones: Inez Cooper, James Brockenmeyer, Matt McCoy. Although we can throw in Pancake in there too. The matchup I'm going to be watching is really Brockenmeyer against McDonald. Oh. That's going to be the one that really I'm going to be watching more than anything in this game.
Caden is a war daddy. I mean, we lost last year. We had a great one in Tyleik Williams, and we thought going into the season that defensive tackle was going to be a weak spot, not as much depth, and Caden McDonald has had a fantastic season. He was an Outland Award finalist. He anchors
All-American.
He does not. He's almost impossible to push back, and what I love about Caden too, if you've watched the film too. He's sideline to sideline. He is fast. He will chase a guy down 15 yards downfield and make the tackle. So he has a great motor, Caden, too.
Yeah,
so,
I looked at that tape. I looked at the tape they sent me on it, and I got to tell you something. When I watched film of McDonald, we're going to have issues. We're going to have issues with him.
I really think he's the most important defensive lineman on the team too.
I also think too, like Miami's offensive line, and it's just like they're just like Ohio State's line. They're really good, but there is that one or two guy, that gives up a lot. And as much as I love watching K-Mac, I want to see what our defensive ends do.
That's the one I'm going to watch with Markel Bell and Francis Mauigoa, two outstanding offensive tackles. Mauigoa is going in the NFL draft against Jackson and Curry. That's going to be a matchup I'm going to enjoy watching.
As much as we have raved about your two defensive linemen, Bain, but if you look at the production, Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry had a well higher productive year than Bain, than Miami's defensive line, and a lot of it too is scheming against those guys too as well. Where Ohio State, I think what's made our defensive line, where yes it was a weak point, is how good our linebackers have been all year. When you have All-Americans,
you got Dorian Reese, obviously.
Yeah, when you have two All-Americans and plus Caleb Downs that also plays on that, it's going to be interesting to see not just our D line, but what Miami's front seven on offense, how they handle Ohio State's front seven on defense.
Well, how is Patricia dealing with knowing that we saw Mark Fletcher run for 172 against A&M? How is Patricia preparing to deal with Mark Fletcher?
That's a great question. I don't know, because he's a rocket scientist. I really don't know what he has cooked up. I'll say my father-in-law, who is a Notre Dame fan. So I feel like if we're looping in anyone in this conversation, the Notre Dame fan, who obviously they don't like Miami, they don't really like Ohio State. He thinks Mark Fletcher and you guys are going to run for over 175 yards. I don't think
we're not against that Ohio State defense.
That's his prediction.
Well, wow. And here's the thing about Patricia. Every game there's been a different defensive scheme. Like, it's so wild to me. Like, yes, Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy, but in reality, exactly like Jason D 4325.
Patricia uses those backers, and I think that's going to be important, especially with Reese, and I think with Styles, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I saw Styles on tape, and hey,
this interesting stat just came out with Sonny Styles, and this goes to 100. He has had 0 missed tackles all season. He's registered 86 total tackles, and the fact that he only got voted one, the Sporting News first team All-American, is beyond me, like, crazy. Obviously, I covered him in high school, did a lot of his high school games, and I will tell you this, when I covered the Pickerington North versus Pickerington Central, which is a huge matchup here in the state of Ohio, Central Ohio.
And they play Canton the title games too.
Yeah. I have never seen, as a broadcaster, never saw a team scheme up their offense away from one single player, and that was Sonny Styles. And he could have been an all Big Ten. He was an all state basketball player too on a state championship. That's how good Sonny Styles is. And for him to only be voted one time first team All-American, we got his tree. We got his tree in Buckeye Grove. It still scratches my head on that.
Also, to answer your question, Danny, and Jason kind of brought up the point. It was a really good point, actually. The key to all that, stopping the run and all that, is Caleb Downs.
That's another one right there. Got to deal with Downs.
He is good for 1 to 2 plays a game where he will just get into the backfield. And Matt Patricia, I don't think even has to scheme this, because Caleb is like the co-defensive coordinator on the field. He is like he runs everything out there. He knows where everyone's lining up. He does one thing where, like, he will get into the backfield once or twice a game and completely blow up a drive. And it's a first and 10, and now it's 2nd and 12, and then he completely throws the offense off schedule. We'll see at least once, I think, because that's what a generational player like Caleb Downs does. He's one of the best safeties I've seen. So yeah, that's what I think.
Good evening, Canes Cats. Thanks for coming on, man. If you got a question, one of our fans just got into Dallas today. Some of our fans have gotten in there today. But yeah, Caleb Downs. I understand 3 All-Americans: McDonald, Reese, and Downs, or unanimous if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes.
To me, I think the matchup's going to be. I want to see what Downs does against the receivers and the tight ends. C.J. Daniels, Keelan Marion, Joshua Moore. We'll probably put him in there. But to me, it's going to be the tight ends against those linebackers. That's Lofton and Bauman.
Yeah, interesting. A lot of the media up here, some of our media friends and some of the guys we listen to on our media radio have been saying Malachi Tony, right?
Yeah.
Basically, we know what Carson Beck is. What we've seen him at Georgia, what you've seen at Miami. If gets rattled, he's going to turn the ball over. However, I think the biggest when you talked about how good Mark Fletcher is, he's a great player. Arguably could be a Buckeye. Buckeyes were harping on him real hard during recruiting, but the big thing up here is we take out Tony, the game. It basically shuts down Miami's whole game plan. But you're great. I want to see what we can do with those other guys.
Yeah. Question, Dan and Cass. Question from Jason D here. What do you think is the killer for us? And he thinks our defense will struggle against Ohio State. I honestly don't agree with that. I think if our defense can do what Indiana did in the Big Ten championship game, and that's get Sayin off his spot. Remember, Indiana sacked them 4 times, and Miami has a better defensive line than Indiana. So what are your keys to that one?
I think the killer here isn't your defense. I think it's going to be depth on offense. I think it's going to be outside of Tony and Fletcher. Who else is going to step up for you guys?
I think maybe C.J. Daniels, maybe.
Yeah, you need someone else to step up and just give us fits that. I mean, if you guys have, and Indiana kind of exposed this with Charlie Becker. If you have a really good wide receiver 3, and you can attack our nickel, like Lorenzo Styles, we love. Like Cass, we love Lorenzo. He's a great player, great special teamer. We've always said this on the podcast. He might not be an NFL caliber defensive back. That's kind of the weak link you got to target if you're gonna go after anyone on the defense.
Yeah, I with your defense, like they were saying, what is our game plan? Again, what is our game plan going to be? If it's quick RPOs, if we can just get enough 2 seconds to block 2-3 seconds to block Bain and your D line and the other and your D lineman, and quick RPO it, because with your corner being out, that's going to be a question. If we get who's going to cover Jeremiah Smith? If we can get Jeremiah Smith, that's why I'm saying Brandon Ennis is going to be. I think the short yardage wide receiver, get the ball out quick, and he's good in the open field. Brandon Ennis could have him a day. It's going to be, how does Miami's defense adjust if Ohio State is burning them on RPOs all night?
Yeah, remember, I don't know if Ryan Day saw the Louisville game. What Louisville killed us with was the quick throws, because they neutralized Bain and Mesidor, and Chris Bell just went off against O.J. Federic. Now Bryce brings up a good question here. Bryce brings up a good point. We got to spread the ball for Miami to win. They got to spread the ball around. It can't always be on Tony and Fletcher to carry the ball. And I think you said that earlier. Who else is going to step up? And to me, it has to be C.J. Daniels, and it has to be Keelan Marion, but also the tight ends have to step up. That'd be Lofton and Alex Bauman.
I also want to see out of both quarterbacks, how will both quarterbacks handle the defensive pressure against the blitz?
Yeah, and you know Patricia's going to come. Patricia comes with that. And the thing is, he times it. He doesn't do it all the time. The chess match I want to watch, guys, is Corey Heatherman against Ryan Day. Ryan Day's going to be calling the plays, if I'm not mistaken. Brian Hartman.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because we all before last year when we went on the run and all that, when Ryan Day used to call plays, we used to hate the bubble screens and all that stuff. But I feel like that's a good matchup now, Cass. Am I wrong? Or
Brandon Ennis, man.
Yeah.
The thing we got to take away Ennis, and I think we have Keontae Scott that could take care of that. We maybe Xavier Lucas on JJ, and maybe probably Federic, on probably Tate. Because to me, the guys we really have to contain are Tate and Ennis. Like I said, Smith's getting his yards. Smith's getting his yards. I'm going to make sure we don't let anyone else beat us.
I love your safeties. I think you have 3 really good safeties. I think Fitzgerald too is kind of
Fitzgerald. That was the one that got the game clincher against A&M.
He is. No, I mean, look, he's clearly like. I don't think he's much of a run support guy. I know your guys were like coming at me but like it's kind of true. I don't think he's a run support guy. He's a ball hawk, a natural.
That's the ball hawk. Yeah, he's a ball hawk.
But hey, you need that if you want to go up against Tate and Smith, man. And I think he's going to be an X factor. I think
you got to have. I think Bryce is going to be in there a little bit. I got Bryce in there. Got Keontae in there. Yeah. I think we have Jacoby and Zachariah Pointer in there. So I think the safeties are going to be very important to help out on Smith.
That's the matchups I'm watching. I'm watching the safety play on both teams. I think I know people are hyping up the defensive lines.
But you got a great line and downs on the back end.
Yeah, no, I think the safety play is going to be equally as important in this one. If Miami can prevent Smith and Tate from getting over the top, that's going to be huge. They cannot allow a 50-yard bomb, a 60-yard bomb, like in the Michigan game that Sayan did consistently. Like it's when that happens, it opens everything else. Bo Jackson gets going, and it gets ugly real quick. The safety's got to keep everything in front of them.
Yeah. Another thing. Question asked: any key players Ohio State are going to be missing in this game?
Just Tegra.
Yeah.
Just Tegra.
Malik Hartford. I mean, He's another situation where Malik Hartford was like CJ Hicks, where he redshirted until the postseason, but he's dinged up. So safety wise, I guess it impacts depth a little bit. But Jalen McLean has been really phenomenal this year too, outside of Caleb Downs. So and Fahim Delane's been really good too, has flashed. So I feel pretty good about the injury report so far.
Yeah, same on this end. It hurts parts. We don't have Damari Brown. But question for you guys: How do you guys feel about Lorenzo Styles?
He's obviously our weakness on defense, and I love the kid. I know the kid was covering him at Pickerington, but he's played well, but he's also against Indiana. He did not play so well, so it's one of those things like he's a hit or miss guy. I would, being the 25. It's going to be 25 days since we last played. A name that we could probably see play a lot is Devin Sanchez. Mm-hmm. Could it slide with Tony being so good in the slot? Mm-hmm. Could we slide numbers? I wanted to call him Jordan Hancock because he's wore number 7 last year. Jordan Matthews. Matthews. Could we? There's a lot of times where we put Sanchez on the outside and we put Matthews in the slot during when Styles would be out hurt, or sometimes that could be some things we could look at. If Styles starts to struggle a little bit, will Matt Patricia make that adjustment? But I think the kid's smart. He's smart. It's just
he's made a lot of good plays. He's made a lot of good plays for us this year too. The one thing too with Styles, Cass, he's been hurt at times. He gets dinged up. That we gotta watch the shoulder. If you notice the game, he'll have a shoulder brace on. That shoulder's been injured a lot in the past year and a half. That's something we gotta monitor.
He's definitely the Jekyll Hyde because in the game, he gave up that big play against Indiana, but he also made a huge play. Against Indiana. So.
Yeah, I think I look at that the change on our injury report tonight from Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Donta Simpson is now out. He will not play this game. Another question from Bryce here. Does Ohio State have any glaring weakness Miami can expose? I'll ask you gentlemen this.
So it really depends on Mark Fletcher. I think if Mark Fletcher kind of has that, continues on against A&M, keep your eye on that because in Indiana, I don't think they.
The Indiana game showed a lot to me.
A little bit. I think actually prior to that, it was the Michigan game. If you watch the first 2 drives when they had Haynes in, or not Haynes, the Ohio kid, was it Cass Marshall, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Marshall.
If you watch the first drive, they were getting some good runs. I think the run defense could get exposed at times. And I know that's crazy because we're the top run defense in college
Yeah.
football, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to play like that on Wednesday night. So
No.
I think the run defense is something to keep an eye on.
And then I'll say offensive side, our red zone offense.
Yeah, I look at another thing. He has your runs and running. How's your guys run? How's Ohio State's running pass defense?
Well, we're number one in defense.
Number one in both. Number one. That's simple enough.
Against the run, I think we're number one in the country against the run, I believe.
And number one against the pass, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yeah, and we're like top 5 against the pass. But there has been vulnerable times. Obviously, we got, I know a lot of people look at the Indiana exposed Ohio State, but they only beat us 13-10.
Yeah, the way I understand, because I heard Jerry DiNardo say on the Big Ten postgame show, he said 3 areas Indiana exposed Ohio State in: third downs, short yardage inside the red zone, I believe goal line.
Yeah.
And our kickers are weakness. I do have a big name, and there's 2 names here. 3 names here. I'll give you a little bit of depth on defensive line. Will Smith Jr. is probable, so it does sound like he'll be in the rotation. But we do lose Logan George. He played vaguely throughout the season. Didn't play a lot. And then Quincy Porter, one of our big-time freshman wide receivers, he is out for the game.
Okay, so that's just one change on Ohio State then. Either team could have won that game, like Bryce said, and you're possibly right. But you watch Indiana, and I watched the 3 games that really stand out to me when I watched Ohio State on film: the Texas game in the opener, Michigan, like Cass said, and the Indiana game, obviously. But to me, somebody brought up the Rutgers game. The first half, Rutgers did a pretty good job against the Ohio State offense. Ohio State.
So we gotta look at that. I don't know if they, and I'm glad you have this on because we gotta look at that in full context of this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, come on.
I mean, we had David Adolph starting as our number 2 wide receiver.
Yes,
David, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to know a little more about that because somebody was telling me, or I had a Rutgers guy tell me this.
Tate and Jeremiah Smith were both out. We were starting David Adolph at receiver.
Senior day.
Yeah, it was senior day. This was I believe it was a week before Michigan too. It was like just get in, get the win, get out. What Ryan Day has done very good this year is like it was load management for the guys, which is crazy. But they've kind of taken that concept and have applied it this year, and they've really they've played their offense at I think one of the slowest paces in college football, and basically that has kept our defense fresh, and that has kept snap counts down on Jeremiah and Tate, and it's great because they didn't get injured. Now, could have cost them some awards. You can argue that, but in the context of the Rutgers game, that was just, hey, we could win this with like our C string, like our.
Yeah, I mean, Max Clear. I think Max Clear had like 10 catches that game.
Yeah,
and you blew him out in the second half, I think there was a fight late in the game, if I recall. I was watching that.
I don't know.
That was a couple years ago. That was a couple years ago when our punter at the time when we were up 56-6 decided to go for a fake punt, and Greg Schiano went across the field and got into Ryan Day's face. So that was a couple years ago.
Because I know that I think there was like something like that, not like that to that extent this year, but they got into it.
There might have been a scuffle. I was at the game. There might have been a scuffle.
I think it was Ohio State that won that game going away.
There was.
Okay, the question they asked me is, do I think Beck withstands the stress that the Buckeye defense is going to bring? Yeah, Jason, he brought that up earlier today, this press comp at media day. We knows how good Ohio State is. We know how good they're going to be. You're not going to see a replay of the Indiana game. They're going to bring more pressure. And even Patricia hinted at that today. But Carson Beck is 35-5 as a starter. He's been in the SEC. He's been in big games. He's seen basically everything. But I think Matt Patricia defense is going to be a different deal. Because even though Beck's seen it all, Matt Patricia defenses are a different deal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be – and what people don't realize is there was a clip. You have to go look it up. There's a clip of Bill Belichick and Nick Saban hanging out when Belichick was the head coach of the Browns.
Yeah, 1994.
Yeah. And so Nick Saban is a Bill Belichick guy. So like Bill Belichick's coaching tree is phenomenal. But
Yes.
what Saban had that old school type, Alabama defense, but Carson Beck was also not very good against Nick Saban's defense. So
No, I remember Carson Beck was a backup for a couple of years before last
and
year.
I think Carson Beck's a phenomenal player. I thought when I told Dan, I was like, when he committed to Miami, I was like, he's gonna lead them to the playoffs, and obviously here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
And
tonight.
He's a great quarterback, but he's prone to make a lot of mistakes too. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he plays.
I think Carson Beck gets a lot of hate because his just what happened with his girlfriend, and
we all know that deal this offseason.
And he's not he's not the softest on the eyes. Like, he kind of looks like the guy from Ice Age and stuff. With that being said, I think he's a really good quarterback. He was obviously projected as the first overall pick a couple years ago. This year,
I think he's gonna be a good NFL player.
Yeah.
Question Bryce asks is how is Ohio State's other backs
outside of Lamar?
Outside of Jackson.
Let's break it down. Okay.
DJ Donaldson.
So the wrong-standing joke here in Columbus between Dan and I, and we started this back in when Bo Jackson started doing well against Washington. I made a meme of Talladega Nights, shake and bake. Basically, Bo Jackson was Cal getting Ricky Bobby to the finish line, and then CJ Donaldson was punching it. I love Bo Jackson, but one of my favorite backs on our team is Isaiah West. I think Isaiah West, he's not as patient as Bo Jackson, or it's explosive, but he hits if there's an open hole, he's taking it. He runs with his shorter pads down, and he hits the hole hard. James Peoples is he's came along pretty well. We got I think we got 3 pretty good backs, and then we got Bo Jackson, I think is going to be elite. But we're young. Outside of CJ Donaldson, there's two freshmen and true freshmen and a sophomore, and James Peoples. I like them all, but I stress this week after week that we needed to break it down to go to 2 backs instead of doing a 4-man rotation. And Bo Jackson and Isaiah West are probably the best guys we have.
It's tough. I mean, they all have a unique skill set. Bo Jackson is
all different.
He is different. He is special. He reminds me of like a Jamal Charles, just fast, and he's a threat out of the backfield to receive. He has had multiple catch games where he's become a threat out of the backfield. So that's something to keep an eye on. He's our best receiving threat out of the backfield and just our best home run hitter, no doubt. Donaldson is our power back, goal line back. What you need 1 yard, he's going to get you 1 yard. You need 10 yards, he's going to get you 1 yard. But he will get you the touchdown and the first down. And then Bryce West. Just like a good young back, runs with his pads down. James Peoples, very similar to Bryce West. Just Donaldson is, our best pass protection back too. That's key. If it's a passing down and he's in the game, it's probably gonna be a pass because he's our best protector.
All right, keys to the game, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you. What are your keys to the game? Start with Cass, and we'll go to Dan.
Basically, put pressure on Carson defensively for us is put pressure on Carson Beck, make him confused, make him play like he did against the Alabama games and the Louisville game this year. Make him force a turnover and then take away Tony, because I think Fletcher's going to be a dog. If Fletcher is a dog, he's going to have his carries. They might rely on him. But if you take Tony out and frustrate Carson Beck, offensively, we got to start fast. If we come up and we come out, get a 3 and out against their offense, and we go down and score. If we jump on I think if we jump on you guys real quick, the game could get ugly quick. So it's something that Ruben Bain out and score quickly and just tempo. I think those are my keys to the game.
Dan?
My key is we gotta establish the run. I think that's gonna stop the Miami pass rush. We gotta run the ball down your throats for a drive or two to really get our offensive line going. And we also need to protect Sayin because the Indiana game he was sacked. I thought he did a pretty good job outside the first drive where he threw that pick. I just don't think he recognized the coverage. I think we gotta just protect Sayin. I don't think he's not gonna be the reason we lose. And he's so quick on his reads and everything. He's so quick getting the ball out. We just gotta give him some time. Let him get the ball to Jeremiah. Let him get him to Tate. So offensively, we gotta run the ball, protect Sayin. It's really our offensive line has to come to play.
I think for us to win, I think a couple things have to happen. One, replicate the Indiana game, and Heatherman's going to have a plan for that. One, we got to take Jackson away. Number two, we got to get home the saying with Ford. That means Bain, Mesidor, and the interior of the line. Interior of the line step up, especially our four up front, because they'll free up the back seven to take care of Tate, Smith, and Ennis, and of course the tight ends. I think that's the one we got to be aware of. And number three, I think what we have to do is we have to, like you said, get Fletcher going, get Tony. But I think we have to get C.J. Daniels involved early, and we got to get the tight ends involved early. That would be Lofton, and we have to get Bauman involved and give Beck time to throw and not make mental mistakes. Basically, if you play fit like Indiana did, play physical, play violent. Somebody said this about Indiana, gentlemen, if I remember somebody saying this. Indiana doesn't take away what you do best. Indiana likes to do is make the opponent play the game they don't like to play. That's being their weaknesses, and they exposed that for 4 quarters. That's what they did to Ohio State. I think we can do the same thing, but we cannot. And above all else, gentlemen, I think everybody can agree with me when I say this. Under no circumstances can Miami turn the ball over. You do that, Ohio State makes. This is not like A&M. We turned it over once. They didn't make us pay. Ohio State will. So we got to protect the football.
I think you guys could win if. I think you could get 1 turnover. I think Beck could throw 1 pick, and I think you guys could still win. I also think on defense, we got to prepare for the Malley Cat. The Malley Cat is. It's interesting because he's such a dynamic athlete, and he can throw the ball good too. We saw that one throw in the A&M game. He didn't complete it, but I think it
was windy too. By the way, you got to remember that also.
Yeah, we got to be prepared for the Malley Cat too on defense. So I think that's another key. Just be ready for that because there's gonna be some trickery. I know Mario Cristobal too. He's 1-0. He's 1-0 against Day, and I was at the game in 2021, and they, they kind of ran the ball down our throats. It felt like, and it was the Kerry Combs defense in teams. But
this is Matt Patricia's a whole different deal.
Yeah, but Cristobal is 1-0. You got to give him credit. So I think it's gonna be a really good game. I'm excited.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to get you out of here on this score prediction, and also if you want to leave any final thoughts with our audience and where they can find you, we'll start with Big Cast first. No, start with Dan first. We'll start with Dan, and we'll go to Big Cast. Dan, then Big Cast.
Okay.
Score prediction. I got another Cotton Bowl classic. I got same score as last year, 28-14. Excuse me, 28-14 Buckeyes, but in a game that, once again, scores way closer than what the end of the score shows. I think it's a well-fought battle, and it just comes down to a Carson Beck turnover late while they're driving, similar to the Jack Sawyer play.
Yes.
I'm about in the same area. I think both field goal kickers are actually going to make some field goals in this game.
Yeah.
I got my score 27-17 Ohio State.
Yeah. Guys, this has always been a big game for Miami. Miami knows how important this game is. Okay. We know we cannot be sloppy against Ohio State. If we limit mistakes, if we get a lead, I think it's going to come down. I think it's going to be low scoring. When you see both defenses, I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to come down to who makes the plays late to seal the victory. I want to say this is going to be close, and I think it will be, but I really think in the end, I think it's going to be Miami 17, Ohio State 16. It comes down, I think, a field goal late by Carter Davis this game. Anyway, before we go, guys, anywhere they can reach out to you guys? Any final thoughts you want to leave our audience with?
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at bunch_nuts. Our podcast name is based on like the fight song, like we're all a bunch of nuts. Da, 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 da. Also, you can check out our website. We are part of thesilverbulletin.com. Blake, our buddy Blake, right now he is down, like we said, in Dallas. He's covering it. He's going to the interviews and stuff. He's been talking to Julian Sayin. But yeah, you follow the Silver Bulletin. And Danny, just thank you so much for having us on. I played football with Chris Olsen. He was like my high school coach. So like Kevin Olsen was my quarterback. Greg Olsen used to come to our high school. I have great respect for the U. And I just want to say thank you for having us on. It's always awesome to connect with just other fan bases.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to have you had us on. I've always respected Miami. So many great players come out of the U. I wish their history in the last 20 years has been a lot better and more competitive, but I respect the heck out of Miami and what Jimmy Johnson created and what Butch Davis did. One of my favorite players was Jeremy Shockey, just the way he played the game. So thank you for having us on.
Anytime, guys. Listen, guys, thank you very much for coming on. Happy New Year to you and your families. We will see you, and we'll hopefully talk again down the road.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me end the stream. Hold on, guys.